The council chamber was quiet. Too quiet. Daewon sat in the human delegation seat and felt every pair of eyes on him. Some eyes were compound and reflected light like broken glass. Others glowed with bioluminescence. A few were just dark slits that never blinked. 27 species filled this massive room, and most of them thought humans were soft. Daewon kept his face calm. It was a skill he learned during the war back on Earth, the one they never talked about anymore. The one that nearly destroyed everything. His hands rested flat on the table in front of him. Clean hands. Diplomatic hands. Nobody could see the scars hidden under his sleeves. The human request is denied. Counselor Vex Thor's voice echoed through the chamber. The Krolatian leader stood tall, his reptilian scales catching the light from the neutron star outside. You ask for trade routes that you have not earned. You request military protection that you cannot provide for yourselves. Daewon wanted to speak, but he waited. Patience was another thing the wars taught him. Heejin shifted beside him. She was his military attaché. Though most of the council thought she was just a secretary, they could not see the weapons hidden in her body. The combat computers linked to her brain, or the kill count she carried like a weight on her soul. Humanity has been part of this council for 3 cycles. Vex Thor continued. His allies nodded along. 3 cycles, and what have you shown us? Words, promises, requests for peace. He laughed, and it sounded like rocks grinding together. You are a prey species pretending to be predators. The chamber filled with various sounds. Clicks, whistles, and grunts that passed for laughter among different species. Daewon felt his jaw tighten. Just a little. Just enough that Heejin noticed. She touched his arm gently under the table. A warning. Don't show them, her touch said. Not yet, Counselor Vex Thor, Daewon said slowly. His voice was steady. We came here to build relationships, not to fight. Earth has seen enough war. We thought the galaxy might have evolved beyond such things. Evolved? Vex Thor leaned forward. You mistake our civilization for weakness. We have rules, human. We have honor. We do not hide behind words when our interests are challenged. Then we will continue to use words, Daewon replied, until words are no longer sufficient. Something in his tone made a few of the council members pause. Elder Quor, the ancient insectoid philosopher, tilted his head. His species had been studying humans since first contact. He alone seemed to understand that Daewon's calmness was not weakness. It was control. The session ended badly. Humanity's requests were denied. Their colonies would remain unprotected by council forces. Their trade ships would have to use the long routes, the dangerous ones where pirates hunted. Daewon stood, bowed slightly to the council, and left with perfect diplomatic grace. The moment the door closed behind them, Heejin spoke. They are pushing us. I know. We should push back. We were sent here to build bridges, Daewon said. They walked through the crystal corridors toward their private quarters. Not to burn them. Some bridges need to burn. Heejin's voice was sharp. They think we are weak. They will keep testing us until we show them otherwise. Daewon stopped walking. He turned to face her. And what would you have me do? Send a battleship to council space? Start a war because they hurt our feelings? I would have you remind them what humans are capable of. They will learn, Daewon said quietly. If they need to. Back in their quarters, Daewon poured himself a drink. His hands shook. Just a little. Just enough to spill a few drops. Heejin watched him from across the room. She saw the scars on his arms now, visible in the private space. Old wounds from old battles, burns from energy weapons, marks from hand-to-hand combat that should have killed him. You okay? She asked. I remember the last time someone called humans weak, Daewon said. He did not look at her. It was during the Unification Wars. The Northern Alliance thought the Southern Coalition would surrender after the first strike. They thought we were too soft to fight back. What happened? We fought for 7 years. Millions died. Cities burned. We used weapons that we promised never to use again. He finally looked at her. We won, but the cost was everything. That is why we chose diplomacy, Heejin. Not because we cannot fight, because we know what fighting costs. She nodded slowly. And if they leave us no choice? Then they will learn what 7 billion apex predators look like when the mask comes off. A message alert chimed. Daewon checked his secure terminal. His face went pale. What is it? Heejin moved closer. Earth Command, encrypted. They want to know if we need Protocol 7 activated. Protocol 7. Heejin felt her blood run cold. She knew what that meant. Every human military officer knew. It was the code for total war mobilization. It meant Earth was ready to stop pretending. "What did you tell them?" she asked. "I told them no." "Not yet?" Daewon closed the message. "But I authorized them to move the hidden fleet into position. Just in case." "The Council does not know about the fleet," Heejin said. "No, they see cargo ships and colony vessels. They do not see the warships hiding in plain sight. They do not know that every human ship can become a weapon if needed." He smiled, but it was not a happy smile. "They think they are so smart. They think they have us figured out." Somewhere else in the Council station, Elder Core sat in his meditation chamber. He was reviewing files about Earth, human history, human wars, human evolution. The data troubled him deeply. He called his assistant, a younger member of his species. "I need you to send a message to the Kitrex homeworld." "What message, Elder?" "Tell them we need to reconsider our position on humanity. Tell them I have been studying their history. Tell them we have made a mistake." "What kind of mistake?" Elder Core looked at the files again. Images of human warfare. Weapons that could destroy planets. Soldiers who fought in conditions that would kill most species. A species that hunted megafauna to extinction with nothing but stone tools and patience. "We mistook patience for weakness," he said softly. "We saw their diplomacy and thought they were prey. But I have been reading their history. They are not prey. They are predators who learned to wait. Should I inform the Council?" "No, they will not listen. They are too confident." Elder Core closed the files. "But send another message. Send it to Ambassador Daewon. Private channel. What should it say? Tell him that at least one member of this council sees humanity clearly. Tell him I hope his patience holds, because if it does not, I fear for us all." The message was sent. Daewon received it an hour later. He read it twice, then showed it to Heejin. "At least someone understands," she said. 1 out of 27, Daewon replied. "Not great odds. It only takes one spark to start a fire." "Yes," Daewon agreed. "That is what I'm afraid of." They sat in silence for a while. Outside, the neutron star spun, sending waves of radiation into space. The Council station orbited safely in its magnetic field, protected by technology thousands of years old. Everyone felt safe here. Everyone felt powerful. But in the human quarters, 2 warriors wearing diplomats' clothes prepared for the possibility that safety was an illusion. They hoped for peace. They planned for war, and deep in the darkness between stars, human warships painted to look like cargo haulers adjusted their courses, moving into position, waiting for orders, ready to show the galaxy what humanity really was. The mask was still on, but it was starting to slip, and when it finally fell, the Council would learn a truth that species across Earth's history had learned the hard way. Never corner a predator, especially one that has been trying very hard to be civilized. Commander Jiwoo stood on the bridge of the Perseverance and watched the Crolation ships surround them. There were 6 warships, each 3 times the size of her colony vessel. Their weapons were powered up. Their shields glowed with contained energy. It was a show of force designed to terrify. It was working. "They are hailing us," her communications officer said. His voice shook. He was young, barely 23, and this was his first deep space assignment. "Put them through." Jiwoo kept her voice steady. She had been in combat before, back during the Unification Wars. She knew how to hide fear. She also knew that these aliens did not understand what they were dealing with. The Crolation commander appeared on screen. His scales were dark red, almost black, a sign of aggression in his species. "Human vessel. You are in Crolation territory. You will power down your engines and prepare to be boarded." "This space was neutral last week," Jiwoo replied. "We have done nothing wrong. Last week your species had not insulted the Crolation Empire at the Council." The commander's eyes were cold. "Last week we had not decided to teach humanity a lesson about respect." Jiwoo felt her heart rate spike. This was not about territory. This was revenge. Political revenge aimed at civilians. "We have 3,000 people on this ship," she said. "Families, children, scientists. We are not a military target." "Then you should not have chosen to travel through our space." The commander smiled. It was not a pleasant expression. "Power down your engines, now." Jiwoo looked at her tactical officer. He shook his head. No help was close. No allies in range. They were alone. "Give me 12 hours to contact Earth Command," she said. "You have 6. The screen went dark. Bo-Ra entered the bridge. She was the chief medical officer and Ji-Woo's oldest friend. They had served together during the wars. They had saved each other's lives more than once. How bad? Bo-Ra asked. Very bad. Ji-Woo pulled Bo-Ra aside. They are going to board us. Maybe take hostages. Maybe worse. We need to protect the children. I know. Ji-Woo looked at the screen showing the Krolatian ships. Get everyone to the safe zones, quietly, no panic. Then start recording everything. Every conversation, every action they take. If we do not survive this, someone needs to know what happened. Bo-Ra nodded and left. Ji-Woo turned back to her crew. Send the message to Earth Command. Priority Alpha. Include our position, the Krolatian fleet composition, and their demands. Use encryption level 7. The message went out. It traveled through subspace, bouncing off relay stations, racing toward Earth at faster than light speed. It would reach the Council Station first. It would reach Ambassador Daewon in 3 hours. 5 hours later, the Krolatian commander made good on his threat. His boarding parties came through the airlocks in full armor. They moved through the Perseverance like they owned it. Ji-Woo met them in the main corridor. She had no weapons, just her uniform and her dignity. Commander Ji-Woo, the Krolatian said. He was even bigger in person. You will take me to your cargo holds. You will show me your supplies. Then we will discuss terms. What terms? Humanity will abandon 3 colony worlds. You will recognize Krolatian authority in this entire sector. You will apologize to the Council for your insolence. He leaned close. Or I will space 1 civilian every hour until you comply. Ji-Woo felt something cold settle in her stomach. It was not fear. Not anymore. It was rage, controlled, professional rage that she had learned to weaponize during the wars. You are threatening children, she said quietly. I am teaching your species about power. No. Ji-Woo looked him in the eye. You are making the last mistake of your life. The Krolatian laughed. His soldiers laughed with him. They walked through the ship, past families huddled in quarters, past children crying in their parents' arms. Bo-Ra's hidden cameras recorded everything, every threat, every cruel smile, every moment of terror they inflicted. At the Council Station, Daewon received the message. He was in a diplomatic reception, smiling and making small talk with minor ambassadors. His assistant brought him the tablet with the encrypted message. He excused himself politely and walked to a private room. Hee-Jin found him there 10 minutes later. He was sitting in complete silence, watching the video feed from the Perseverance, watching Krolatian soldiers walk past human children, listening to a commander threaten to kill civilians. Daewon, Hee-Jin said softly. He did not look at her. He just kept watching. His face was completely blank. It was the most terrifying expression Hee-Jin had ever seen on him. Because she knew what it meant. The diplomat was gone. The soldier had returned. Get Elder Core, Daewon said. His voice was flat, empty. He needs to see this. He needs to understand what comes next. What are you going to do? What I should have done the moment they denied our request. He finally looked at her. His eyes were cold.
I am going to send a message to Earth Command, 1 word.
Then I am going to show the Council what happens when you threaten our children. Hee-Jin felt a chill run down her spine. What word? Sparta. She knew that code. Every human military officer knew it. It was named after an ancient Earth city-state famous for its warriors. It meant total military response. It meant no mercy. It meant the diplomats were done talking and the soldiers were taking over. Are you sure? She asked. Look at the screen, Daewon said. A Krolatian soldier was pointing his weapon at a human child, laughing, making the child cry. What do you think? Hee-Jin looked. She felt her own rage building. I think they just declared war on the wrong species. Send the message, Daewon said. The single word went out across human space. Encrypted, secure, absolute. Fleet commanders received it and checked their orders twice to be sure. When they confirmed it was real, they began the transformation. Cargo ships split open to reveal weapons. Colony vessels deployed fighters. Mining equipment was removed to expose missile batteries. Humanity had been hiding in plain sight. The galaxy saw peaceful traders and hopeful colonists. They did not see the warships disguised with false hulls. They did not see the soldiers trained in zero-gravity combat. They did not see the weapon systems that could turn a cargo hauler into a destroyer in under an hour. Admiral Tae Yang commanded the hidden fleet from his flagship. It looked like a bulk freighter. It was actually a carrier with enough firepower to level a city. He received the Sparta code and allowed himself a grim smile. "How long until we reach the Perseverance?" he asked. 14 hours at maximum speed, his navigation officer replied. "We have 12 hours before they start killing hostages." Taeyang looked at his crew. "Override the safety limits. Burn the engines if you have to. We are not losing a single civilian. Sir, if we burn the engines, the ships might not survive the stress. Then we better make sure this is worth it," Taeyang said. "Because once we arrive, the galaxy is going to learn something new about humanity. We protect our own, no matter the cost." 20 human warships began accelerating, faster than they were designed to go. Faster than was safe, racing toward a colony ship surrounded by enemies, racing toward the moment when the mask would finally come off. On the Perseverance, Jiwoo gathered her senior officers. "Help is coming," she told them. "We just need to survive until it arrives." "How do you know help is coming?" someone asked. Jiwoo smiled. It was a warrior's smile. "Because I know my species. We do not abandon our children, ever." The Crolation sensor officer stared at his screen in confusion. "Commander, I am detecting unusual readings in the sector." "What kind of readings?" The Crolation commander was inspecting the Perseverance's cargo holds, counting supplies like they were already his property. Multiple contacts, 20 vessels. They appeared out of nowhere. Identification? Unknown. They are broadcasting human identification codes, but the signatures are wrong. These are not cargo ships. They are... The officer's voice trailed off as his instruments updated. "Commander, these are warships." The commander rushed back to his ship. On the main view screen, he saw them. 20 vessels that had been disguised as civilian craft were now revealing their true nature. Armor plating emerged from hidden compartments. Weapon systems extended from false cargo bays. Fighter craft launched from what had appeared to be fuel tanks. "This is impossible," the commander whispered. "The humans have no military fleet in this sector." "They do now," his tactical officer replied. A transmission came through. "Open channel. Broadcasting to every ship in the sector. To the council monitoring stations. To the entire galaxy that was watching." Admiral Taeyang appeared on screen. He was not wearing a diplomatic uniform. He wore the black and gray combat armor of Earth's military. Behind him, his bridge crew worked with practiced efficiency. "Crolation forces. This is Admiral Taeyang of the Earth Defense Fleet. You have surrounded a civilian vessel carrying 3,000 human colonists, including children. You have threatened their lives. You have boarded their ship without cause." His voice was cold, professional, deadly. "You made a mistake." The Crolation commander tried to respond, but Taeyang was not finished. "Let me tell you about humans. We are the species that hunted animals 10 times our size with nothing but stone tools. We are the species that survived ice ages and plagues. We turned nuclear fire into a weapon and pointed it at ourselves. We fought wars that killed millions just to prove a point. And then we learned. We learned that our violence needed control. We learned that diplomacy was better than destruction." Taeyang leaned forward. "But we never forgot how to hunt. We just put the weapons away and hoped we would never need them again. You threatened our children. You gave us a reason, the transmission cut. The human fleet moved into attack formation. They did not move like other military forces. They moved like wolves surrounding prey. Fast, coordinated, patient. Battle stations." The Crolation commander shouted. "Raise shields." "Power weapons," his ships responded. 6 Crolation warships against 20 human vessels. The numbers favored the humans, but the Crolatian ships were larger, more powerful, better shielded. They had fought and won hundreds of battles. They had never fought humans. The first strike came from nowhere. A human destroyer, small and fast, emerged from the shadow of an asteroid. It fired a spread of missiles at point-blank range into a Crolation cruiser's engine section. The shields held, but the impact pushed the cruiser into a collision course with another vessel. "They are not trying to destroy us," the Crolation tactical officer realized. "They are trying to disable us." "Then they are fools," the commander said. "Target that destroyer. Full power." The Crolation weapons locked on. They fired. The destroyer was hit dead center and should have been vaporized. Instead, it rolled with the blast, using the impact to accelerate away. Its armor was scorched but intact. It dove behind debris and vanished from sensors. "How did it survive that?" someone asked. "No shields," the sensor officer said. "They are not using shields. all their powers going to weapons and engines. The commander understood immediately. Human ships were sacrificing defense for offense. They were built for a different kind of war. Not the honorable combat between shielded vessels that the galaxy was used to. This was ambush warfare. Hit and run. Psychological terror. Captain Yunseo commanded that destroyer. Her ship, the Reaper, was designed for exactly this kind of fight. Fast, heavily armed, and operated by a crew that trained in the brutal combat schools of post-war Earth. They knew how to fight dirty. Target their life support systems, Yunseo ordered. I want them breathing emergency oxygen. I want them scared. Her weapons officer grinned. Yes, ma'am. The Reaper emerged from cover and fired again. Not at the weapons or engines. At the environmental systems. The shots were precise, surgical. 3 Krolatian ships suddenly lost atmosphere in multiple sections. Emergency bulkheads sealed, but now those crews were trapped running on backup oxygen. This is psychological warfare, Elder Quor observed. He was watching from the council station with growing horror and fascination. They are not fighting to win. They are fighting to terrify. Daewon stood beside him. The ambassador's face was blank, but his eyes were focused. We learned from our own history. Terror is a weapon. Fear makes enemies make mistakes. Your species frightens me, Quor admitted. Good, Daewon said quietly. It should. In the battle, things got worse for the Krolatians. Human ships swarmed like insects, never staying in one place long enough to target. They used gravity wells, debris fields, and sensor shadows. They fought like pirates, not soldiers. A human cruiser rammed a Krolatian vessel, not a glancing blow. A full-speed collision that crushed both ships. But escape pods launched from the human vessel seconds before impact. The crew survived. The Krolatian ship did not. They are insane, a Krolatian captain shouted over the command channel. They are willing to destroy their own ships. No, the commander said, finally understanding. They are willing to die to protect their people. That is not insanity. That is something we do not have. Hye-jin led a boarding party onto one of the disabled Krolatian ships. She moved through the corridors in zero gravity with perfect grace. Her team followed, weapons ready. They encountered Krolatian soldiers, and the fight was brutal. But humans had trained for this. They had studied every form of combat their species had ever invented. Boxing, judo, Krav Maga, military close-quarters combat. In zero gravity, with no up or down, they fought with a ferocity that shocked their opponents. Hye-jin personally took down 3 Krolatian soldiers. Her cybernetic enhancements made her faster, stronger, but it was her training that made her deadly. She moved like violence given form. And the Krolatians realized too late that humans were apex predators in every environment. Hostages secured, she reported to Tae Yang. 23 human crew members from Perseverance, all alive. Good, get them out of there. The battle lasted 14 hours. When it was over, 4 Krolatian ships were disabled. 1 was destroyed. The flagship was surrounded by human vessels, weapons locked on. The Krolatian commander sat in his damaged bridge and knew he had lost. Admiral Tae Yang's face appeared on his screen again. You have a choice. Surrender now, face council justice for attacking civilians, or refuse, and learn what humans do to those who threaten our children. The commander looked at his crew. Young soldiers, sons and daughters of families back home. He thought about the human children on the Perseverance. He had threatened them to make a political point. The humans had responded with overwhelming force to protect them. He understood now. Humans were not like other species. They valued their young above everything, even above victory, especially above victory. We surrender, he said quietly. The transmission went out across the galaxy. For the first time in 2,000 years, a Krolatian military force had surrendered to another species. The council chamber erupted in chaos. Some members were outraged. Others were terrified. Elder Quor simply sat in silence, watching humanity reveal itself. On the Perseverance, Jiwoo watched as human marines cleared the last Krolatian boarding parties from her ship. She hugged Bo-Ra tightly. I told you help would come. You were right, Bo-Ra said. We never abandon our own. The galaxy had learned something new about humanity. They were not the peaceful diplomats they pretended to be. They were predators who had learned patience. And when their young were threatened, they became something terrifying, something unstoppable. The mask was off, and the council would never look at humans the same way again. The council emergency session was chaos. Ambassadors from 27 species shouted over each other. Some demanded sanctions against humanity. Others argued for immediate military intervention. A few stayed silent, reassessing everything they thought they knew. Elder Quor raised his hand for silence. His species commanded respect through age and wisdom. Eventually the chamber quieted. "I warned you," Quor said simply. "I told you we were making a mistake." "The humans have revealed military forces they claimed not to have," Vexthor protested. He was standing, his scales flushed with anger and embarrassment. "This is deception. This is a violation of council law, is it?" Quor activated a holographic display. Battle footage played for everyone to see. "Show me where they violated our laws." They disclosed their civilian vessels. Those vessels were inspected and approved. Nobody asked if those civilian ships could be converted to military use. Nobody asked because we assumed humans were weak. The footage showed human ships transforming, armor plates sliding into position, weapons emerging from hidden bays. It was all mechanical, all physical. No advanced technology that broke council restrictions. Just clever engineering and ruthless efficiency. They were preparing for war while pretending to want peace, another counselor said. "No," Daewon spoke for the first time. He stood calmly at his delegation seat. Every eye turned to him. "We were preparing for war while hoping for peace. There is a difference." "Explain," Quor said. "My species nearly destroyed itself," Daewon said. His voice carried clearly through the chamber. "We fought wars that killed hundreds of millions. We invented weapons that could end all life on our planet. We did horrible things to each other. And then we learned. We learned that violence should be the last option, not the first." He looked directly at Vexthor. "But we also learned never to be helpless again. So yes, we came here with weapons hidden. We came prepared to defend ourselves. And we genuinely hoped that we would never need them." "Then your people threatened ours," Heejin added. She stood beside Daewon. "You surrounded our families. You threatened our children. You thought we would surrender because we prefer diplomacy. You confused preference with inability." "The Kralations acted without council approval," someone pointed out, "did they?" Daewon asked. "Because from where I stand, they acted with implicit approval. You all laughed when they denied our requests. You all stayed silent when they mocked us. You created an environment where attacking humans seemed acceptable." The chamber went quiet. Nobody wanted to admit he was right. But the recordings did not lie. Counselors had laughed. They had mocked. They had treated humanity like a joke. "What happens now?" Quor asked. "Now you see us clearly," Daewon said. "We are not prey. We are not weak. We are apex predators who chose civilization over conquest. We domesticated wolves while your ancestors ran from them. We tamed fire when it terrified every other creature. We looked at the stars and decided to reach them." He walked toward the center of the chamber. Nobody stopped him. "My species has spent 10,000 years learning how to kill each other more efficiently. We perfected warfare. Then we decided to stop. Not because we lost the ability. Because we understood the cost. We came to this council offering friendship. We came with open hands and peaceful words. And you laughed at us." Daewon's voice grew colder. "You made a calculation. You thought the benefits of insulting us outweighed the risks. You were wrong. Because you did not know what we really are. Let me educate you." More footage played.
Human history.
Wars spanning continents. Weapons that could level cities. Soldiers fighting in conditions that would kill most species. Humans surviving ice ages, plagues, and their own worst instincts. "We are persistence hunters," Daewon continued. "On Earth, we chased prey until it died of exhaustion. We are pattern recognition machines wrapped in meat. We can coordinate in groups of millions. We can hate with perfect focus, and we protect our young with absolute dedication." He stopped in front of Vexthor. "Your people threatened human children. You gave us no choice. And now you have learned what every predator on Earth learned eventually. Humans are not prey. We are the hunters, and we never forget." Vexthor tried to maintain his dignity. "One battle does not make you superior." "You are right," Daewon agreed. "But that one battle showed the galaxy something important. It showed them that we can win. More importantly, it showed them that we chose not to destroy your fleet. We disabled it. We captured your soldiers. We could have killed everyone, but we did not. Because even in war, we remember our humanity." Elder Quor spoke again. "What do you want, Ambassador Daewon?" "The same thing we wanted 3 cycles ago. Fair treatment. Trade routes. Protection for our colonies. Respect." Daewon looked around the chamber. "But now you will give it to us. Not because you want to, because you understand the alternative. That sounds like a threat, someone said. It is a fact, Day One replied. Humanity will always prefer peace, but we are prepared for war. We will negotiate fairly with those who treat us fairly, and we will defend ourselves, our families, and our future with everything we have. This is not a threat. This is simply who we are. Back at the battle site, Admiral Taeyang oversaw the prisoner transfers. Kralatian soldiers were being moved to council custody. They were treated with basic dignity, fed, given medical care, not tortured or abused. The Kralatian commander watched this with confusion. Why are you being kind to us? We threatened your people. Because you are not our enemies, Taeyang said. You are soldiers who followed bad orders. Your leaders made a mistake. You paid the price. But you are still living beings, and we do not forget that. I do not understand your species. Few do, Taeyang admitted. We are contradictions. We are capable of great violence and great compassion. We can hate and forgive. We can destroy and create. It confuses us too sometimes. What will happen to me? Council justice, a trial. Probably exile or imprisonment for attacking civilians. Taeyang looked at the commander. But you will live. Your crew will live. Because we won this battle, we can afford mercy. On the Perseverance, families were reunited. Children hugged their parents. Scientists embraced their colleagues. Bora moved through the medical bay, treating minor injuries and trauma. Jiwoo found her own children in the safe room and held them close. Are the bad aliens gone? Her youngest asked. Yes, baby. They are gone, and they will never bother us again. Because our people came to save us? Yes, because that is what humans do. We protect our families, always. Across the galaxy, the news spread. Humanity had hidden military forces. Humanity had defeated a major power. Humanity was not what everyone thought. Species that had dismissed humans as weak suddenly reconsidered. Trade delegations were dispatched. Alliance proposals were drafted. Fear and respect mixed together. 3 species requested military training exchanges with Earth. They wanted to learn human tactics, human strategy, human methods of warfare. Daewon approved these requests, seeing opportunity in the interest. If they learn from us, they will understand us better, he told Hyojin. Understanding prevents war. Or makes war more dangerous, she replied. Either way, they will respect us. And respect is what we needed all along. The council voted. Trade routes were granted. Defense agreements were signed. Humanity received everything they had asked for 3 cycles earlier. Vexthor was removed from council leadership. The Kralatian Empire faced sanctions for unauthorized military action. Elder Quor approached Daewon after the vote. You planned this? No, Daewon said honestly. We hoped for peace. But we prepared for this possibility. We are humans. We always prepare for the worst while hoping for the best. Your species terrifies me, Quor admitted. We terrify ourselves sometimes, Daewon replied. But we learn, we grow. We become better. That is what makes us human. 3 months had passed since the battle. The galaxy was still adjusting to the new reality. Humanity was no longer the weak newcomer. They were a power that demanded respect. And slowly the council was learning to give it. Daewon walked through the council chamber with confidence. Not arrogance, just the quiet assurance of someone who no longer needed to prove himself. Other ambassadors nodded to him, some with respect, some with fear, all with recognition. He took his seat as Elder Quor called the session to order. Today's agenda was important. A new species wanted to join the council. The Drakmor, a warrior race from the outer systems. They were aggressive, territorial, and convinced of their own superiority. Their representative was large, heavily muscled, and covered in ceremonial war paint. He strode to the center of the chamber like he owned it. I am Warlord Kraz of the Drakmor clans, he announced. We come to claim our place among the powerful species of this galaxy. The council welcomes your petition, Quor said formally. Please present your case. Kraz launched into a presentation about Drakmor strength. Their military victories, their conquests, their belief that power was the only thing that mattered in the universe. He was aggressive and dismissive of the council's diplomatic traditions. You speak of rules and laws, Kraz said, but we know the truth. The strong survive. The weak perish. That is the way of the universe. Several council members shifted uncomfortably. This kind of rhetoric had not been welcome since humanity's demonstration of force. Kraz seemed oblivious to the changing mood. Take the humans, for example, Kraz continued. He gestured toward Day One. I have heard the stories. One battle against an unprepared enemy, and suddenly they think they are apex predators. It is mythology, propaganda. The weak always invent stories to seem dangerous. The chamber went completely silent. Every ambassador turned to watch Day One's reaction. Hyjin tensed beside him, but Day One remained perfectly still. He simply smiled. The same diplomatic smile he wore in his first council session. But now everyone knew what it concealed. Ambassador Day One, Kor said carefully. Would you like to respond? No need, Day One replied calmly. The warlord is entitled to his opinion, though I would suggest he research human history before making final judgments. Kraz laughed. I do not need to research prey species. I know weakness when I see it. Then you are blind, a new voice said. Councillor Vexthor stood. The former Krolatian leader had been demoted but remained a council member. I made the same mistake, warlord. I thought humans were weak. I learned otherwise. You lost because you were unprepared, Kraz dismissed. The Drakmor would not make such errors. Vexthor looked at Day One, then back at Kraz. Perhaps you should ask the humans about their unification wars. Ask them how many of their own kind died. Ask them what weapons they used. Ask them how they survived as a species. Ancient history, Kraz said. 50 years ago, Day One corrected quietly. Not ancient, recent within living memory. That got Kraz's attention. He turned to face Day One fully. 50 years? You fought a major war that recently? We fought ourselves, Day One said. 7 years. 3 billion casualties. We used weapons that we had promised never to use. Chemical, biological, nuclear, weapons that could end all life on Earth. We brought ourselves to the edge of extinction. The chamber was quiet. Even Kraz seemed surprised. And you survived, Kraz said slowly. Barely, Day One replied. We rebuilt. We learned. We decided that our capacity for violence needed to be controlled. So we joined together. One species, one world, one goal, never do that to ourselves again. That is why you prefer diplomacy, Kraz said, understanding dawning. Yes, because we know the alternative. We know what total war looks like. We know the cost. Day One stood and walked toward Kraz. So when you mock us, when you call us weak, you make the same error that the Krolatians made. You mistake our restraint for inability. I do not fear you, Kraz said, but his voice lacked its earlier confidence. Good, Day One said. Fear should not be the basis of relationships, but respect should be, and respect requires understanding who we are. He activated his personal display. Images appeared in the air. Human history, evolution, the development of tools and weapons, the domestication of wolves, the creation of agriculture, the Industrial Revolution, world wars, nuclear weapons, space travel. We are persistence hunters, Day One said. We chased prey across continents until it died of exhaustion. We are tool users who turned every material we found into weapons. We are social creatures who can coordinate armies of millions. We are the species that looked at fire and decided to control it. We are the only species we know that domesticated other apex predators. More images. Human soldiers fighting in impossible conditions, surviving in deserts, jungles, Arctic zones, adapting, learning, winning. We came to the galaxy offering peace, Day One continued. Not because we are weak, because we understand what violence costs. We have paid that price. We do not want to pay it again. But make no mistake, Warlord. If you threaten our families, our children, our future, you will discover what 8 billion apex predators are capable of. Kraz stared at the images. He saw human warfare, strategic bombing, nuclear strikes, soldiers fighting hand-to-hand with knives and bare fists, a species that turned everything into weapons and everyone into soldiers when survival demanded it. Your species is terrifying, he said quietly. Yes, Day One agreed. We can be, but we can also be kind, generous, creative, peaceful. We contain multitudes. That is what makes us human. We choose which part of ourselves to show. Usually we choose the better parts. But the choice is ours to make, he returned to his seat. Welcome to the Council, Warlord Kraz. I hope your people will join us in building a better galaxy. But understand that strength without wisdom leads to destruction. We learned that lesson. Perhaps you can learn from our experience instead of repeating our mistakes. Kraz nodded slowly. The arrogance was gone. In its place was something like respect. I will remember this conversation, Ambassador. I hope you do, Day-One replied. After the session, Elder Quor found Day-One in the observation deck. They stood together watching the neutron star spin. You have changed the council, Quor said. In 3 months you have accomplished what some species take centuries to achieve. We just showed them who we are, Day-One replied. The rest was inevitable. Will humanity continue to prefer peace? Always, Day-One said. But we will never be helpless again. We will negotiate from strength. We will offer friendship to those who want it, and we will defend ourselves against those who threaten us. That is the balance we have learned. What if someone threatens you again? Day-One smiled. That diplomatic smile that everyone now understood. Then they will join the Crolations in learning that humanity is not prey. We are the hunters. We just learned to be civilized hunters. Across human space, life returned to normal. The fleet returned to their patrol routes. But they no longer disguised themselves. The galaxy knew about them now. There was no point in hiding. Admiral Tae Yang received commendations from Earth Command. He refused medals, saying his fleet did only what any parent would do: protect their children. That statement became famous across human space. It defined the new human doctrine: diplomacy first, family always, violence only when necessary, but when necessary, overwhelming. Commander Jiwoo was promoted to Admiral of Colonial Defense. She visited every family on the Perseverance personally, apologizing for the danger, thanking them for their courage, promising it would not happen again. And everyone believed her, because they knew humanity protected its own. Bora continued her medical work, but now she also trained other species in trauma care, sharing human medical knowledge freely, building bridges through healing instead of violence. It was another side of humanity, the side that wanted to help, not hurt. Ye Jin left diplomatic service and returned to active military duty. She led a new special operations unit that trained willing alien species in human combat philosophy, not just tactics, philosophy. The idea that violence should be controlled, directed, used only when necessary. Her students learned that being dangerous did not mean being cruel. Captain Yoon Seo and the crew of the Reaper became legends. Their battle against the Crolations was studied in military academies across the galaxy, not because they won. Because they won while maintaining their humanity. They disabled instead of destroying. They captured instead of killing. They showed that being warriors did not mean being monsters. And in the council chamber, things changed. Humanity was offered a seat on the Council Security Committee, a position usually reserved for species with centuries of membership. Day-One accepted on behalf of Earth. We will serve with honor, he promised. We will work for peace, but we will never forget what we are. Protectors, defenders, survivors, and when necessary, warriors. The galaxy learned to live with this new reality. Humanity was a major power, not because they conquered, because they revealed what they could do and chose not to do it. That restraint, that choice, that control, was more impressive than any military victory years later. A young ambassador from another species asked Elder Quor what humans were really like. Quor thought for a long time before answering. They are contradictions, he said. They are capable of great violence and great compassion. They can hate and forgive.